What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Heart of Home. I actually have some really exciting things to show you guys. Do you see it? How about now? Do you see it? What you're looking at right here is some arugula and a bunch of other cold hardy crops that I sowed, gosh, probably 2 weeks ago, but they're finally starting to come through. We've had a really abnormally long / warm autumn, fall, whatever you want to call it. And because of that, we've had a longer growing season than we typically do. I mean, I remember today is November 6th, Go America. And I remember having Halloweens actually where it's been snowing and I've had to wear like snow gear over my Halloween costume as a kid. And this year it was kind of chilly. So we're gardening in the zone 5A, 5B area right in the middle there. And it is currently like a high of low 50s. And then in the evening, it's like a low of high 30s. Sometimes freezing, sometimes not. In the 10-day forecast, there's actually no nights below freezing. So that has been incredible because my seeds that I planted a little later than most people would recommend planting seeds directly into the soil in my area. But they're thriving because it's been so warm. And so I'm super grateful. But I am also wise enough to know that that won't last forever. So I need to go ahead and get a low tunnel installed on this 14-foot bed. All right, so what we are going to be doing here is a series of low hoops made out of PEX piping actually, and PVC piping to reinforce the top for some stability. But we're going to do 10 different loops of PEX piping on this bed. Now this bed is 14 foot, which means every foot and a few inches is gonna be a loop. That is what you see here. I've got 10 different 5-foot PEX pipes here. Now, the reason I chose these guys is because watch this. Woo! They bend very well, but they also hold their structure very, very well. Now, there were thinner ones of these PEX pipes, but I would highly recommend these thicker ones. It was right on the brink of either too thick and not bending very well, which there's ways to remedy that, or too thin and not going to hold their structure at all. So this 1/2-inch pipe is what we went with. Now, to reinforce the top of all the loops, so you're gonna see all the loops going across this way, right? And then the way to reinforce them is by connecting them all with what we are going to use is PVC piping. Now, this PVC pipe is also a 1/2-inch. And so we had to get 2 little couplings because again, these are 5 foot in length. Our bed is 14 feet, so not quite 15 feet, which means we'll have to cut a little bit off of one of these guys and that's okay. But we're going to connect these with these little couplings, 1/2-inch couplings. Caleb's actually going to finish the latter half of this video, but I wanted to make sure that you guys could see this process in the beginning so that if this is something you are interested in doing in your garden for some of your root vegetables, which are cold hardy, so things like radishes, greens like arugula, spinach, lettuce mixtures, Swiss chard, even snap peas, snow peas, beets, kohlrabi, all sorts of different foods of that nature. Are pretty hardy at the beginning, at least in our area in zone 5, in the beginning and near the end of the winter. Now, a lot of these put in a greenhouse or underneath a low tunnel, which we're trying to create here, in the right environment can also flourish over the coldest parts of winter. So that's kind of the experiment we're doing here. We haven't done that before. This zone, this area specifically is new to us because we've only been here for a year and we didn't have garden beds established last winter. The last thing I want to share with y'all before I get started is the tarp. So this is found just in the painting section at Menards. You could also find it at like Lowe's, Home Depot, some other big box stores, probably Walmart. You want to make sure that you get a minimum of 4 mil as your thickness. Now, it's recommended to get closer to 6. However, Menards just did not have what I needed in 6. I'd have to pay like $50 as opposed to $10 if I wanted to get the 6 mil thickness. So 4 to 6 is what you're aiming for. Oh, I should also mention that how we are keeping these PEX pipes in the soil as opposed to just shoving them in the soil because that wouldn't be very sturdy. We got some rebar here. The airplanes really love to be a part of my videos. So we are going to be using this rebar. We'll be sticking it in the ends. Hi, Kaya. Are you curious? What's Mama doing?
Also, you can't wear that hat. You don't own cowboy boots.
I don't care if I wear cowboy boots. I'm wearing the hat. What do y'all think? Am I allowed to wear this hat if I don't own cowboy boots? My husband does. Does that count? Back to it. So this rebar is going to be in the ends of all of our loops. So it's going to be directly put into the soil. This is 36" in length. So we're going to be cutting them down. So just 1.5 feet for each of these 5-foot loops. So I'm going to set y'all up as I cut the rebar, which is slightly terrifying, but my husband believes in me. And hopefully you guys do too, because that's probably why you're here. Let's get this cut and start assembling before the sun goes down. Men, how do you do this? The many ways that Courtney attempted to cut rebar. Which one will be a success? Success! Woo! Thank God for gymnastics when I was a youth. I can still get my leg up this high, even at almost 30. One of y'all is gonna comment on this video and tell me how I'm doing this wrong. I'm not doing it wrong. Did you see me cut it? It's the only way that works. There's the line on this one. It works. I kept pinching my finger the other way. I can't find the line on this one. I'm doing great. I really am. I don't even clamp. Don't hit myself because I got seeds coming up. That was almost more difficult. I can't wear that, you don't call. All right, so all I was doing there was taking the rebar pieces that I just cut to 18 inches or so, was sticking them probably close to 8 inches, 8 to 10 inches into the soil. Now I've got a 14-foot bed here and I'm doing 10 loops. You can do the math. I haven't done the math. The math isn't necessary. I like to eyeball things. That's how we do things here and it works. I've got 10 loops here that I have just equally spaced out. It's probably every 15 to 16 inches or so I have rebar. Now I'm gonna go get the PEX pipes and set the hoops up. And just a reminder, my husband's gonna be taking over in this video here shortly. Douglas, it's my boy. This is gonna look great. The PEX piping's in there, the rebar's in there. Now you might be wondering, why didn't you do anything that was long-term, or like my husband wanted to build one that I could like lift up and then close. And the reality is we don't have a lot of property. We live on less than a 1/4 acre here. That being said, we don't have a lot of space to store things. I also want something that I can use in many different ways. So this will also be able to work in the springtime when it is warmer and we don't need necessarily a greenhouse effect, but I can use it for pest control. I can use it as a mini greenhouse to start seeds. It can be used in many ways, but these materials are also super easy to take down, to take apart, and there's very little assembly. My husband's gonna show you how to assemble the PVC piping on top. But wait, before he does that, I need to show you guys a short intermission of my current winter garden. The lovely Swiss chard is not looking so lovely anymore. It's starting to fall over just from all the rain and weather that we've had, but look at this rutabaga. Doesn't that look beautiful? It's the only one that survived. Whoa! All right, we've got dogs that like to dig holes and that's a new one. Thought I was falling to my death there for a minute. The only other thing I've got planted in here are beets, which I just did a big harvest of because I've got some beet kvass fermenting on the counter. I'm gonna be gobbling that stuff up since I was just sick for like the last couple weeks, it feels like. Anyways, on that note, here's my husband in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, I'm Caleb. This is my trusty helper, Silas, if you can see him. And today we're doing the simple part of putting the top rail on the low tunnel. Nothing complicated here, just some PVC pipes. We're not even gonna glue them because we want it to come apart easily. And some duct tape. Doesn't get much simpler than that.
Your dada's little helper? So it's really important to be intentional when doing stuff like this, especially when you have children, with letting them help, because it's not only growing your relationship with your child, but it's also growing their confidence in their identity of who they are and their role that they have in their family. And so I really love opportunities where I get to watch Silas interact with his daddy, Caleb, in ways that I feel like most people would tell kids just to go do their own thing while they finish up some chores or some work, whatever. But Caleb's also really good at incorporating him and teaching him how to do what we are working on. Wait a minute, come here. You smell like my organic fertilizer. The last one.
Almost.
Not quite the last one.
Surprise!
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 Thanks, baby.
All right, how long did that take?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, 2 hands.
Here's a flower for you.
A flower? You are such a doll. We have frost, I think. We have below freezing temperatures. 2 days from now, it's gonna be 31. So barely, it's very light frost, but everything that I've planted in this bed is actually frost hardy, and so that frost really won't hurt it. But I am gonna go ahead and just put this stuff on so that I can show you guys how to do that and what I am doing. But just for reference, it's really not super necessary when we're having 50-degree weather. It could actually be detrimental if it's containing too much moisture, too much heat. It could become a breeding ground for disease, and just obviously if some plants get too hot, then they start to suffer. All right, so to show you guys, again, the thickness that I got was the 4 mil. You want anything from 4 to 6, preferably closer to 6, especially if you're gonna have really cold winters. I got 200 square feet. That was the smallest I could get. I don't need 200 square feet, so I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it 8 foot by 25 foot. I definitely don't need 25 feet. This bed specifically is only 14 foot. Eventually, the bed where you guys are standing right now, which will be created hopefully next spring, will be another 14-foot run with another 9-foot run. So I will have plenty of polyfilm to do more low tunnels here probably next winter. So you'll notice that I did cut it not exactly to 14 foot, because if I did that, I wouldn't have enough excess for it to drape over the side. And then the way that I'm gonna stake the tarp down, this polyfilm, we have a bunch of limestone rocks that we are using in our garden beds, in our flower beds in the front yard and hopefully here in the backyard. But I'm just gonna use these because they're heavy enough and I've got a thick enough edge, and I'm just gonna lay them here. They're heavy enough that the wind is not gonna knock them down. However, we do have rain in the forecast, and I would rather the rain water my garden than and so I'm not gonna go loading them up. But just so you guys know, you can stake them down however you prefer. Again, I want it to be something that's easily disassembled for convenience sake. Really simple, guys. It doesn't take much. Again, I did all of this for less than $85. So created a 14-foot by 3-foot garden bed low tunnel with PEX piping, PVC piping, a poly tarp that's 4 mil thickness, and limestone rocks that I had in my garden. Oh, and the rebar that I have to help hold the PEX piping that you saw in the beginning part of this video. So if anything, it's a reminder to you that you can still garden even when it's cold and rainy out like it is right now. Can you come up? You keep stepping on tomatoes? Me too, and they're slimy right now, so they're making me slip. If you have any other tips or comments you want to leave in the comment section below that could help me or even others improve this process, go ahead and feel free to do that. This is a community here. So thank you for being here. Love y'all. I'll see you on the next video.
Bye, friends.
Bye, friends.